that natural forms of beta carotene, food sources of that, or natural sources of beta carotene are carcinogenic. Certainly, I would not use synthetic versions. It's the same thing with E. Any of these oils, if they are extracted and they're pure and organic, I would think that they are safe. Again, within reason, but you can test the blood, and that's important to look at. You can test liver levels, liver enzyme levels, and look at some of these factors. So, yeah, but it's measurable. So the quercetin, I'd like to see the reference on that. Okay. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. It's not my area of study. I don't know that any medicine has all of the answers. I've never seen any studies on homeopathy and cancer, because I've looked at some of them, and I've referenced it in my book. It's not to say that it's not true. Just because somebody hasn't done the study doesn't mean it isn't true. But if you are a homeopath and a researcher, then you should do the study so it gets published. But again, it's not my area, so I can't comment. That product was developed in a hospital in China, and it is generally the product that was given as a combination product for people who are taking radio or chemotherapy. And it had a couple of factors. One is that it has immune enhancing, particularly stimulates cellular immunity, T helper 1 cells, and so it helps immune function. Secondly, it has anti-inflammatories in there that deal with some of the cytotoxicity and protects the healthy cells. And so in general terms, that's basically what it does. It's quite a complex formulation. That's got some quite good research out of that hospital in that effect. But that's about, if you want to look at it, I'm sure Torrin could give you the research papers that go into more detail. Okay. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm always concerned for vegetarians and protein level who have cancer, because you need to keep your protein levels up. How you're going to do that, I don't know. That's something that, I'm not a vegetarian, and I'm not somebody who advocates vegetarianism, although I respect people who take that particular path. It's just difficult to get all the nutrients that you need. So you need to be extremely careful, and you need to make sure that you get adequate protein levels. So soy is a good source of that, like fresh soybeans, soy products that are fermented soy products, tofu and so forth like that. Whey protein. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 And do you know what your homocysteine levels are? Okay. Do your blood. Elevated homocysteine levels are always associated with reoccurrence of cancer. So get the homocysteine levels down. Under 10, preferably about 5. Yeah. Ganoderma? Yeah. Ganoderma is a mushroom from China, Japan, and it works particularly on cellular immunity. So, as I said before, that cellular immunity tends to be suppressed in cancer patients, and so that does help raise that by, I think it directly affects the, gone blank, the CD8 levels stimulating dendritic cells, and that then feeds back into the cycle of stimulating cellular immunity. So I think that's how Ganoderma works. Yes? I think so generally it's not a good idea to take supplements blindly. If you have a deficiency, supplements are useful. Generally, you should get good quality from your food. Okay. Right. Yeah. You don't have organic beef? Yeah. Okay. As best you can. There are some vegetables that are not entirely organic, but they're grown in small lots by local farmers, and the food quality is pretty good. They're not using excessive amounts of pesticides or insecticides. Organic is more expensive, and so there are financial issues there. But again, generally local. In Sydney, we have farmers markets, and these are people who grow their food and they supply it, and they're generally quite reasonably cheap. And it may not be organic, but it's pretty close to being organic because they live on the farm and they know what they're doing. They're not commercial where they've got 100,000 acres where they're spraying everything. These people live on the farm, so they're being careful about what they put into the soil. So I think, yes, you do need to look at that. Supplements are important when you know what you need. But just to take a supplement may not be helpful in and of itself. Well, what kind of supplement? Are we talking about B vitamins or something? Sorry? Look, all vitamins are made, B vitamins are all made in factories. They're all synthetic. They're made in big vats, huge things. They produce them by the ton. So if you have a severe deficiency, it may be useful to use these in a short period of time. Folic acid may be useful. B12 may be useful. These things may be useful in the short term as an emergency to build up those levels. But once they're up, then you rely on food as your primary source. Well, there's some truth in that. That's true. The levels of vitamin C in apples, for example, is reduced by about 40% over the last 50 years. But again, these are commercial. And one of the factors, for example, and again, I don't know here, but in Australia, apples are sometimes kept for more than a year in cold storage. So, look what my grandmother did. You get the apples in the autumn, and you can them. Right? Okay? Or you freeze them, So then you have a supply of fruit over the winter. And you eat fruit in season. And when you're eating fruit in season, the vitamin C levels are quite high. So, yes, So again, eating seasonally is an important factor. And I grew up in Minnesota. There is no seasonal food there, Yes. Yeah, exactly. And if there is a deficiency, then great. It's like any medicine. If you're sick, you've got a severe bacterial infection, you may take an antibiotic. It's just common sense. Then you may do what you need to do to recover from that and repair the damage that has been done by an antibiotic. So, but yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't recommending. I was just showing you the research on it. Again, when a patient comes to me, I try to keep what I recommend to a minimum. I don't believe that you should be doing this 3 times a day. I don't think it's healthy. The stomach is not designed to eat capsules. The practitioner recommends those things that are appropriate for their time, their condition, their kind of cancer, what kind of therapy they're going through, and you monitor it. And one of the things about that is if you take a medicine, any medicine, your condition changes. So therefore, you need to change the medicine. And this is one of the things that's a trouble with self-administration. Somebody takes something and they feel good, then they